All right, so today we're talking about increasing driver pay, and in particular, owner-operator pay. I know it. People talk a lot about this topic, but when it comes to real answers, real solutions to this problem, we don't hear much. We just hear a lot of complaining. And what we know is just complaining, whining about a situation will not get it fixed. We have to really take some real steps in the right direction to make that happen. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but if you've been around the industry for any stretch of time, surely you've been hearing about OTR drivers, over-the-road drivers, and how they're finally getting their due. Now, how did that happen? Well, the numbers of OTR drivers started to decrease. And when those numbers decrease, suddenly there's a realization how important these guys and girls really are as OTR drivers. So when those numbers start to decrease, what happened? Companies start to come in and say, hey, you know what? We're going to offer you this type of package. We're going to give you time off. We're going to pay you more money to be an over-the-road driver for our company, because they wanted drivers to know that they were very much interested in acquiring their services because there was a shortage of over-the-road drivers. So that made that particular skill set that much more important, that much more sought after. Now, that is an employer paying an employee. It doesn't work like that for owner-operators. There's a different dynamic that you're dealing with as an owner-operator. You are not an employee. You are an employer. You are a business owner. And employers, business owners, they don't go in begging anybody for a raise. They understand their value and they negotiate the amount of money that they want to make based off of the value they bring to the marketplace. If you understood your value, you would demand that you got paid according to that value. Let me give you an understanding of what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the owner-operator and the value that he brings to the marketplace. There are about 3.5 million drivers here in the United States. Of that 3.5 million, 800,000 are owner-operators. Imagine that. So 800,000 owner-operators account for moving about 70% of the freight that moves in the United States. 70% moved by owner-operators. Imagine that value. So there's some serious value that the owner-operator has. Now, in order for the owner-operator to get paid as he or she should, according to his or her value, in order for that to happen, he has to understand his worth, right? If you don't understand your worth, you will continue to get pennies. You will continue to say that the problem is someone else. When you start giving the responsibility of your pay to yourself and negotiate what you are supposed to get, regardless of who you're dealing with, whether that's a shipper or a freight broker, then you will be a real business owner, in my opinion, because that's how business owners, increase their pay. They have to negotiate increases, and those increases are negotiated because of the value that they bring to the table. 99% of the time when I hear owner-operators talking about they are not getting the pay that they should get, they always point to the freight broker. And they say it's the freight broker's problem. It's because of greedy freight brokers. So you are allowing the freight broker to give you what he wants to give you. You are saying that you don't have the negotiation skills to negotiate for what it is that you want. You don't understand your own value. You don't understand your own worth, because when you do, how could you move freight for less than what that value is, right? You almost act as if the freight broker controls your truck, right? And I guess he does if you give him that control. If you make the freight broker thinks that he can give you anything to move a load from point A to point B, then that's what will happen. I'm sure you've been seeing that. But if you understand how much you have to have in a lane in order to be profitable, understanding your numbers. A lot of people discount that and act as if, oh, I don't need to understand my numbers because freight brokers are not going to give me what I want anyway. As long as you allow for that thinking to take place in your mind, as long as that's the way you're seeing things, you will not get paid your true value, because you're saying that, hey, I'm not going to be able to get it because the freight broker won't give it to me. Well, what about you negotiating for what is yours? What about that part of it? Who's responsible for your pay? Is it the freight broker that's responsible for your pay, or is it you as a business owner? as your own business owner, maintaining and operating a business on a day in and day out basis, who do you give that responsibility to? You have to give it to yourself. So if you give it to the person you're supposed to give it to, you, then you have to be totally and completely responsible for your bottom line. You cannot, or you should not at least, say that it's somebody else's fault, right? Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether you give the responsibility to the freight broker or not. Your bottom line is impacted. Your bottom line is what comes up short, right? So why be in business? Why be a business owner if you say that it's somebody else's fault, right? One of the things that I've learned since I've been in business, right? And even before I came into business as a military guy, I learned to take 100% responsibility for whatever happens, right? As the leader, as the person that's responsible for the business, you have to take responsibility for anything that happens, because if it goes wrong, you can't look for anybody else to blame it on. It's on me. It's on my shoulders if it goes wrong, right? Because at the end of the day, in order for it to be fixed, in order for it to work out, I have to solve this problem on my own. That's how it works. When it comes to pay, as a business owner, that's your problem and you must solve it. It will not get solved on its own. It will not get solved by someone else. No freight broker is going to come and solve your pay problem. No shipper is going to come in and step in and solve your pay problem. You have to do that yourself. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Negotiation, negotiation, negotiation is the key for owner-operators, and you negotiate based on your value. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's the 5-video series. It's titled How the Load Movement Process Works, and it gives you an up-close and personal look at the freight broker business so you can see how it works before you come into it. And then if you're interested in learning more about how we go out and acquire those shippers, how do we get shippers to do business with us so we can start making money, I'll leave you a free video right here. Until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you all the way at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.